I've had one more go at torturing the Cape to Cape data, although it would be more accurate to say that the data has been torturing me. Analysing the data back to 2008 has been a nightmare. For the first 3 years, the results were published as a PDF on the website. I had to screen scrape each year and manually turn it into a spreadsheet. Thankfully, there weren't many riders in the first 3 years. In 2011, blue chip timing took over and things started to get a lot more professional, except for 2014, and there'll be more on that later. Let's start with some interesting stuff. This is a pretty tough event, and I wanted to know how many riders fail to finish each year. There are lots of reasons why people fail to finish. Some crash. Some don't prepare properly and blow a heartstring. Then there are those that suffer a ticker failure and don't turn up at all.
Meow!
This is not how I wanted to present this data, but stupid Google Sheets wouldn't let me do it any other way. You'll just have to put up with it. What you're looking at here is the percentage of riders who finish each stage each year. The top blue line is stage 1 and the bottom green line is stage 4. What you can see is that riders progressively drop out each day, except for 2014 when the data went weird on me. In 2011, barely 84% of riders made it through the first day. This steadily increased to 92% last year and then dropped back to 88% this year. I don't know why there was a drop this year. Normally day 1 is the toughest day and it weeds out the greatest proportion of riders. For example, in 2011, 17% of riders failed to finish on day 1, but this had dropped to 2% by the last day. Riders still fail to finish each day, but in general, day 1 is the worst. I guess day 1 is when you find out whether you've really trained properly or not. Now, how many people are riding each year, and who are they? Only 79 riders turned up at the start in 2008, and there was no gender breakdown back then. If that upsets you, well, you've come to the wrong channel. If you've been standing at the start line and thinking that women make up about 1 in 10 riders, you'd be nearly right. They've made up 11 to 14% over the years, with the most being 24% in 2010, when they made up 38 of 156 riders. Now here's the total numbers going back to the start of the race. It really took off in 2011. Note that not all the riders that actually turned up and rode, so the numbers from 2011 are the number who registered, not those that took part. You have to remember the meow factor.
Meow!
The guys at the pointy end are probably wondering if the race is getting faster each year. We don't have pace data for every year, and unfortunately they don't provide pace data for each day either. Just one pace number for the whole 4 days. The pace has certainly picked up since they started publishing pace data in 2012. It was 10.5% faster in 2016 than 2012. Now I know why I posted a better time in 2016 than 2015 and still went backwards several hundred places. You have to ride faster just to stay in the same place. And this is my final data point for today. There is hope for the ageing rock stars amongst us. I had a look at the top 50 finishes each year, and the number of riders aged over 40 appearing in the top 50 has grown slightly each year, hitting 16 this year, about 1/3. Now, it took me over 4 hours to extract the data from the Cape to Cape website and turn it into a usable format. If I wasn't so used to doing this at work each week, I would have given up after a few minutes. And they certainly don't make it easy, and I don't recommend you trying to do it. Now, the data for 2014 in particular was awful to extract. Every year except 2014 has an export function. I was going absolutely mental looking for the export button. It's there on every year except 2014. I ummed and ahed for a while trying to decide whether to just skip that year or not. In the end, I went back to it and just screen scraped the data. 26 pages of screen scraping. Was it worth it? After all is said and done, the answer is probably not. But I've done it, and here are the results. When I go home, I'll go back to the Strava data and see if I can get anything useful out of it instead.